I got my eyes shut, she heard the doctor say. Are you there yet? Martha opened her eyes. She was sat on the floor, her back against the cold and unyielding wall of scrambled egg, and facing the horseshoe of computers. The doctor sat next to her, his eyes tightly closed. His suit was torn in places and blackened from where the invisible wall of electricity had cooked it. The skin around his nose and ears looked raw and pink and painful. A thought struck Martha, and she quickly lifted the hem of her vest top. The scar from the knife wound had gone. Yeah, she said, I'm here. He opened his eyes and grinned at her. That was exciting, he said, as if they'd just stepped off a roller coaster. Yeah, she said, but let's not make a habit of it. Chicken, he replied. Ahem, said a new voice above them. Martha looked up to see a handsome bloke with a cool handlebar mustache. He gazed sternly down at them from where he stood a couple of feet away, keeping the wall of killer electricity between them. His tight gray uniform only emphasized his impressive muscles. Said Martha. Hi. You survived, he said, sounding disappointed. His voice was warm and rich, like an advert for coffee. Sorry about that, said the doctor easily. Don't know what we were thinking. The handsome man turned back to his handsome colleagues. Captain, he called. They survived. Yeah, okay, thought Martha. People coming back from the dead was unusual, but for all he looked lovely, his voice was a bit weighing. Martha turned to the doctor, hoping he'd know what to do. They were trapped between the cold scrambled egg and the invisible wall of electricity. The doctor pulled his face at her and shrugged. They would just have to see what happened next. The tall, well-toned captain came over, one of those lucky women whose bone structure meant that she could be anywhere between 35 and 60. Her long, sleek hair was heavily layered and helped emphasize her cheekbones. It reminded Martha of the Rachel look, fashionable when she'd been at university. It also reminded her of the kind of rich students who had so much time to spend on styling their hair. They're human, said the captain with surprise and another coffee-selling voice. Closer now. Martha could see the fine, worry lines etched into the skin around her steely, determined eyes. She looked fierce and brave as well as beautiful. And so are you, said the doctor, who turned to Martha. Just knew there'd be some of you lot somewhere around the place doing your things, all being in space. Just look at you. You're brilliant. The doctor, said Martha sternly. Don't do that, it's embarrassing. Don't do what, said the doctor. That talking down to the Homo sapiens. Sorry, he said, and then he grinned. Though really, you're a Homo sapiens. There was a whole subspecies thing. And you've got this. He noticed the way she was looking at him. Arms folded, one eyebrow raised. Sorry, he said. He turned his attention to the starship captain. I was just saying to your mate, he said, how we don't mean to live through your clever names. Can only apologize, really. The captain scrunched at the doctor as he wiggled in the test tube. He speaks standard, she said, sort of. What should we do with them? Said the handsome man beside her, stroking his handlebar mustache. Okay, said the doctor to Martha, making a great show of ignoring the two fearsome people standing right in front of them. I imagine they'll want to interrogate us, find out what we know. We do know a lot, agreed Martha. We do, said the doctor. The war, the pirates, the experimental drive, and what's going wrong with it. He looked up at the captain and grinned. The captain bit her bottom lip as to consider. We could run all the wall of electricity closer to the door, she said simply. Fry them again. It's really not going to make any difference, said the doctor. We're very hardy, like dandelions. We could shoot them, sir, the handsome man suggested to the captain. In fact, he was so good-looking with his eyes and mustache and twinkling smile that Martha didn't really mind too much about what he was suggesting. She supposed people were always going to be better looking in the future, just as she'd found Shakespeare but unwashed and smelly. Oh, she thought, perhaps this handsome bloke looked at her, at the girl from the distant past, and the same kind of horror. Or you could say how helpful it is to have someone turn up who knows what's going on, said the doctor. What is going on? Said the captain asked him. She didn't, Martha noted, try to use her beauty on him. Her good looks were a side issue to a job at hand. The captain expected to be taken seriously. Well, said the doctor, why don't you let us out of this thing so we can chat about it? The captain considered. I suppose they are human, she said, as if humans had never done anything bad ever. Captain, asked the handsome man. Let them out, the captain told the handsome man, but keep them covered. The two other handsome men in uniform hurried over to the elegant little guns, which had trained on the doctor and Martha. The handsome man nodded to the well-toned colleagues, looking at the horseshoe of computers. The colleague, a beautiful brunette, operated some of the controls in front of her, but nothing much seemed to have happened as far as Martha could tell. Still, the handsome man beckoned her forward. Come on, he said, move. With the guns pointed at her, Martha made her move forward, but the doctor grabbed her hand. I'll go first, he said, and took a step through the space where the wall of electricity had been. Nothing happened to him. He looked himself up and down, just to be on the safe side, and then back at Martha, smiling. Easy, he said. The bridge was much more an office than a control deck of a spaceship, though. Martha, as she stepped forward, there were no big view screens or anything like that. Instead of the handsome uniformed people, each had their place in the horseshoe of computers. Each individual computer screen was also projected onto the wall behind the person manning it, so everyone could see what everyone else was up to. For a moment Martha thought that this meant that they couldn't get away with scheming. There'd be no online shopping or Facebook when everyone else could look around at your screen. But then she realized that the captain need only stand in the gap of the horseshoe to see all the wall of screens at once. The doctor was gazing at the wall of screens too, lapping up all the information. His eyes flickered from screen to screen, comparing the different sets of data. One screen showed the complex bar graph all in different colors. Another, which held the doctor's attention, showed some kind of blobby spaceship out in space. It looked, though, Martha, like a giant spiky peach. The spikes all kinds of guns and space weaponry. That's beautiful, enthused the doctor. The pirate vessel? Asked the captain. Like Martha, she thought it was really ugly. The spherical pod jutting from the front of the peach seemed to be the Badger pirate bridge. The living quarters and the two small bumps on either side of the peach looked like nabby little engines. From the back there was what looked like a frozen plume of spray, hundreds of tiny droplets frozen in the instant. Martha realized with a start that each droplet was a boarding capsule, like the one that had brought Archibald, Dashiell, and Jocelyn aboard. No, laughed the doctor. The strained wave in between us and the ship. Seen a few of them in my time, of course, but that one's a cooker. The captain and the handsome man beside her and Martha all scrunched the wall screen and showed the pirate ship. I can't see anything, said Martha. No, said the doctor. Try these. He handed her his glasses, and she put them on, but everything was a blur. I think, said Martha, handing back the glasses. This is going to be one of those last of you know what things. Nah, said the doctor. You just need to widen your perspective. Captain, you want to set your screens to show cardiac fluctuations of 0.1 and bigger. The captain nodded to the slender brunette working on the horseshoe of computers, who worked one of the controls. Then there was a gasp from those watching the screen, where the pirate ship and the plume of boarding vessels had looked frozen in time. Now that they could see that it's caught in a translucent twinkle pink-blue haze. The computer added lines through the haze like the pattern iron filling made around a magnet. We're at the heart of it, explained the doctor, pointing out how the contours of the packed more closely together near their own position. They're just on the periphery, where no one responds, he added, just means the edge. And it's a temporal mismatch, asked the captain. It was funny, thought Martha, but there was something about the doctor and the people always trusted, especially with those in authority. He had this way of thinking to them at their level. Not that it was trust, she realized. They saw he could be useful. Like he could be their homework he could do their homework for them. Yeah, said the doctor, at least it's your computer representation of it. You find yourself facing this stuff close up. It looks like cold scrambled eggs. It feels a lot like it too. Suggestions? The captain asked the crew, as if retaking charge. Martha could see the doctor torn between butting in with the right answer and hearing what the humans had to say. Some kind of temporal leak, suggested the brunette, a side effect of the drive. Perhaps the pirate ship is just occupying a point of space-time we wanted to pass through, said another. Or they've got some kind of repulsive device navigates the effects of the drive, said someone else. The captain considered the suggestions, then turned to the doctor. I suppose you have your own ideas, she asked. Oh yeah, said the doctor. But you're all doing so well. And then he nodded his eyebrows together. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Captain Georgia West Evans, Second Middle Dynasty. Hello, Captain Georgina, said the doctor, shaking her warmly by the hand. I'm the doctor and this is my friend. Thank you, said the captain, Georgina, sourly. I got your names before. She glanced quickly at Martha. Martha, not really sure what else to do, rolled her eyes as if the doctor was always like this, which he was. But the gesture didn't seem to go down too well with the captain, who remained entirely stony-faced. Martha felt a bit silly. I'm waiting, said the doctor. Captain Georgina said, you are going to explain what happened. Oh yeah, that, said the doctor airily. Well, let's start from the first principles. You were flying along, minding your own business, and then the pirates attacked you. Correct, said Captain Georgina. Only, said the doctor, you've got this clever new drive you can use, so you gave the order. And it hadn't been tested before, said the captain. But in the circumstances, it seemed like the best thing to do. Well, yeah, said the doctor. He leaned forward, speaking softly. You've got the safety of the passengers to think about, haven't you, Captain? The captain snorted, wrinkling her nose at him primly. What are you insinuating? She said. Me, said the doctor. Nothing. I wouldn't know how. Anyway, you stuck the drive on as quickly as you can, but not before one of the pirate capsules had already gotten here. And there was a whooping great bang, and you're all stuck in this room, yeah? What makes you think that we're stuck in this room? Said Captain Georgina. Oh, said the doctor, glancing back at the wall of cold scrambled eggs that blocked the door back out to the sleeping quarters. Have you tried the door? The man with the mustache, who had at first accosted them, went over to the door. He pondered, then punched and shot the wall of cold scrambled eggs. It did not yield to him. We're trapped, he said, with the same note of whining that Martha had noted before. He might as well look all handsome, she thought, but his will drive you mad as a boyfriend. Phew, said the doctor. That could have been embarrassing. What is this material? Said Captain Georgina, her eyes narrow with concern. Well, said the doctor, it stops you getting out the door, said Martha. The doctor laughed. You and your technical explanations, he said. I see, said Captain Georgina. But this is hardly a problem. The transmat remains operational. She indicated to both in the one corner of the room, the twin of the one Martha had seen all that time ago in the starship engine room. Doctor, she said, stopping herself from saying more. Now they could get back to the TARDIS. Captain Georgina didn't need to know such detail. Yes, said the doctor. Have you tried the transmit in the last day or so? He asked the captain. He used it this morning, said the handsome man with the mustache. I noted no discrepancies or errors. He couldn't help, though, glancing down at himself just to check to see he was all there. Martha shuddered at the thought of what would happen if there had been a problem when you're in the middle of transplanting yourself somewhere. Oh, said the doctor, looking confused. That's a bit of a surprise. I thought it wouldn't be working. But the thought had struck Martha. How long has it been since the pirates attacked? The pretty brunette checked and read out the screen in front of her. 4 minutes and 14 seconds, she said. The doctor was grinning at Martha. Oh, that's brilliant, he said to her. We're on a different pocket of time because the wall of scrambled eggs. So it's been hours and hours for the rest of the ship, but just 4 minutes and 22 seconds up here. Which is why they haven't checked the door or whether the transmat works, said Martha. You're saying, said Captain Georgina gravely, that we're sandbanked in time? Oh, good analogy, cooed the doctor. But I'm adding that to the list. Yes, it's brilliant. It's sandbanked in time. And so it's like the rest of the universe is frozen, which is what you see on your screen. In fact, you're just carrying on usual, and you're the ones who look so like you disappeared. The crew considered this. It could offer a major tactical advantage, suggested the handsome man. Possibly, said the captain. Well, not really, said the doctor. You can't move like this, can you? Can't do anything really, except make conversation and eat canopy. Have you tried any canopies? Martha asked the handsome man with handlebar mustache. Not here, he told her, but they have them in the cocktail lounge, which apparently we can't go to. No, said Martha, sorry about that. I'm Martha, by the way. Thomas, he said, the handsome man, adds to Captain Thomas, 5 Shoelace, Slow Station Settlement. Ah, said the doctor, so you've been to Slow Station, did you? The thing of jumping off the orbital tower and free-falling to the surface? I think everyone does that, said Thomas. All right, said Captain Georgina impatiently. I think your explanation matches the available evidence and what we know about the experimental drive, even if it is unusual. Yeah, well, said the doctor, experimental drives don't act like you expect them to. That's why they're experimental. Thank you, doctor, said the captain. My main concern is what to do to free ourselves from the sandbank. Ah, well, said the doctor, strictly speaking, you don't. The captain was about to ask him why not when there was a crash from the cold wall of scrambled egg, and 3 rough-looking spacesuited helmeted figures charged through the eggy material came clattering onto the bridge. Their spacesuits were battered and battle-worn, with the skull and crossbone dotted on either side of the chest. It took a moment for Martha to recognize the 3 Badger pirates because they put on their helmets. Doctor, said Dashiell, his voice echoing because of the helmet, 4 you must have died. Sorry to disappoint you, said the doctor. How long have we been waiting for us? Said Dashiell. Don't know, a couple days? Sorry, said the doctor, got chatting. Who are these people? Asked Captain Georgina, maintaining the impressive air of calm. No, thought Martha. The captain was sneering at the intruders like they weren't good enough to be in the same room. Around her, Martha thought other humans had raised their own elegant little guns. Well, said the doctor, they used to be pirates, but we've been having words. That's Dashiell, Jocelyn, and Archibald. Ale, said Archibald, waving his hairy paw. I see, said the Captain Georgina. They do seem to be carrying guns. Oh yeah, said the doctor. Don't worry about that. I disarmed them hours ago. He spoke up. Thomas erupted in a plume of brilliant pink light, and had barely enough time to scream before he had been entirely consumed. Ah, said the doctor, scratching his jaw. They really shouldn't have happened. And started working again, Dashiell explained, as he shot the brunette who's still working on the horseshoe of computers. Oh yeah, said the doctor, I should have thought of that. The loop effect of the guns as well. Fire at will, cried Captain Georgina. Repel the invaders. Wait, cried the doctor, wait. One of the uniformed men dived forward, firing his elegant little gun into the attacking badgers. A blast of bright white energy smashed into Dashiell, hurtling him back into the wall of scrambled eggs. His broken body lay streaming on the ground. Huh, said Archibald, as he fired back at the uniformed man. The man was consumed by pink light. Archibald and Jocelyn ran forward, using the horseshoe computers to cover while they fought the rallying humans. Oh, this is just silly, said the doctor, grabbing Martha's hand as they rushed the only shelter, the transmit booth, and set into the wall. The door opened easily. The doctor looked at it after the sonic screwdriver. I've got to stop this, said Martha. The doctor was watching the firefight closely. Captain Georgina and her men were caught with nowhere to hide and fought back valiantly. But it was easy for Archibald and Jocelyn to pick them off one by one. Martha felt a little dizzy, her eyes blinded by so much brilliant pink and white light. Yet the doctor seemed to be finding it all fascinating. How'd they get through the wall? He asked, as he watched some scientific experiment and not a room of people being killed. The doctor was wiping... Doctor, they're wiping each other out, said Martha. Oh yes, said the doctor easily. They're bound to, but then they'll just wake up again. He turned to look at her and seemed to be taken more by control of the transmit. That's funny, he said. Oh, it's hilarious, muttered Martha as she watched another couple of uniformed men eaten up by pink light. It's just Captain Georgina and one of her men left, curled up close on the far side of the horseshoe computers, just outside the badgers. Thomas was right, said the doctor as he scrunched the transmit controls. This haven't been used in hours. You couldn't have used it anyway. The delay between the two booths will just tear you apart. No way out, I'm afraid. Doctor, said Martha through gritted teeth, as Archibald reached around the horseshoe to shoot the man beside Captain Georgina. Well, that isn't funny, said the doctor, because when we were down in the engine room, something was trying to get through. Which means since Thomas went, it came back already, and whatever we saw arriving hasn't set off from home here yet. He seemed to be noticing Martha wasn't paying him any attention, and looked back at the fighting. Jocelyn and Archibald were creeping around the sides of the horseshoe computer, while Captain Georgina alone now waited for them to reach her. She crawled to the elegant little gun in her hand, and after a moment Martha realized she wasn't cradling it, she was working controls in the handle. Gotcha, said Archibald, leaping at her, firing from the far side of the computer. Jocelyn was leaping too, keen on not missing out on the kill. But before the pink energy hit Captain Georgina, she exploded in white light. Blast tore through the horseshoe of computers, screens, and keyboards, shattering it all around. Jocelyn disappeared behind the explosion. Archibald's body was sent tumbling across the room. Into her smashed into the door of the transmit booth and laid still. Martha reached for the handle of the door, but it wouldn't open. We have to help him, she said quietly. You can in a minute, said the doctor, busying again with the controls of the transmit. They've killed each other, said Martha, so quietly she barely heard herself. The doctor turned to her, put his hand on her shoulder. Yes, he said, but they'll be fine again in a minute. But they'll just get up and start firing again, she said. It's so stupid. I know, said the doctor gently, his eyes looking deeply into hers. And then he grinned, which is why we'll have to be really clever if we're going to stop them. Oh, she said, you've got a plan. Yes, he said, and even if I say so myself, it's a really quite a good one.